Subscribe or you'll be visited by the toll troll. Remote work becomes the norm for a lot of jobs. Now you don't need to move to some crappy, overpriced city you can't afford to live in. Can buy a house in some small town that's dying, as long as you have access to high-speed internet. Use your income to support local businesses. Small town America gets unironic economic revitalization. Find the flaw. Pro tip, you can't. It's a miserable life for young people. Sorry chuds. You will go back into the wage cage and you will like it. Jobs are now work from home. Just hire third worlders instead for cheaper compensation plus more output since they work harder than entitled mutts. Profit. Turns out you weren't needed anyway lol. This deprives major property owners of big city rents, and micromanagerial executives with deep pockets of their ability to micromanage. As these people also have the most lobbying power, it will not happen. Find the flaw. To start, sitting in front of a monitor all day would be my pick. Being surrounded by the wife, kids, assuming you have either, would be a close second. LOL no. Euros are lazy. Jeets are lazy. Most Asians are also lazy. Americans work harder than almost all demos. We rarely have Japanese and South Koreans going for our jobs. My company has started aggressively hiring American due to poor feedback regarding foreign workers. Turns out, you get what you pay for. Find the flaw. Hardly any of these jobs are available now. Employers can't humiliate their wages if they don't commute into the office. That's why remote work has pretty much ended in recent years. Doesn't matter if they're lazy, they're 10x cheaper than some software engineer with 2 years experience. I work from home. It's good, but I fear Indians. Real work can't be done remotely, so it won't be an option for most. Your real work will be done by robots powered by AI in the future. In the meantime, illegal/legal immigrants will be given the job considering they ask for less pay and work harder. Let's see. Your assumptions. 1. Share of remote work is increasing. True. For jobs where remote working is possible, for example office drones aka email/call bots aka my only job in this world is to communicate, it is increasing. Where it's not possible now but maybe in the future, for example doctor's appointment, people are trying to make it remotely possible. When clearly not possible, for example cashier, driver, people are trying to make machines that replace those people. 2. City prices are somehow overpriced and people cannot afford them. False. This statement is not supported by Consumer Price Index. People do afford to live in cities both by buying, for medium/high income, and renting, for low income. For example, only 2% of New York is homeless. These people are losers, and any economic theorem should not be derived from their actions. Also, price of a house is somewhat meaningless as you are getting it with a loan anyway and you get the price back when you sell it. 3. Cities are somehow crappy. False. More jobs, services, people, culture. The only thing limiting everyone from flooding into cities is the inflation. Yes, you can use the inflation term when you talk about employment also. If number of job seekers continuously exceeds number of jobs, the jobs will experience inflation. 4. Can buy a house in some small town. True. Your wife and kids will hate it, that's the way they are built. 5. As long as you have access to high-speed internet. False. Internet covers the whole globe. Africa doesn't count obviously, they live in mud huts anyway. Speed of the internet doesn't matter, as long as it's like 1 to 5 megabytes per second. 6. Use your income to support local businesses. False. What interest would it be to you? None. Support only yourself, that is how our economy is built. 7. Small town America get revitalization. False. They still don't produce the things you consume, they only get a cut from it. To thrive you need to make things, not just serve and tax. Long term, if remote work ended up being a legit thing that's 100% socially accepted, companies would most definitely just adjust your wage to where you live. Nobody can meet a spouse and start a family. But arguably it wasn't gonna happen anyway. Yeah, work from home is comfy, although I was thinking if it'd be worth it to sleep in a van and spend the day in the office for maximum savings. Find the flaw. It artificially raises housing prices in those small towns. Now your rent is twice as expensive because a bunch of libtards moved there. If you're getting paid a NYC salary, then live in NYC. All the businesses eliminate the need for physical human presence and sell their offices a year later. Wait, why are we paying expensive Westerners? A year later. Wait, why are we using human labor? The smartest man on the planet disagrees. LOL at all the boomer shills seething about remote work. You wanted globalism but don't want wages to escape the cage. Screw you. I'll work from whatever country I want and get paid for it. I work for Disney and have worked remotely since the lockdowns. I used to have to commute to the KG. How it actually works when huge corporations with a presence overseas takes on remote workers is a bit different. For the first few years, nothing much changed. All of the office wages were now remote and everyone was happy to make the same salary and not have to spend money and time commuting. After a few years, some people relocated to cheaper parts of their state, can't move to the Midwest because the company would apply a cost of living adjustment to your salary. After the honeymoon period, you start to notice that some developer jobs are now based in Argentina. Another year later, domestic IT no longer exists. The help desk is now staffed by Filipinos. Around this time, my boss's boss called the first meeting where he mentioned outsourcing our part-time staff work, who were making mid-20s per hour, to Mexico. This plan soon fell apart after meeting with the outsourcing agency. They found out Mexico has a surprisingly high minimum wage of $14 or so per hour. Plan B, which we're in the middle of now, is to outsource our part-time staff to Argentina, like they did with the developers, where they figure the cost will be less than $10 per hour. This is all to say that the wage arbitrage you imagine employees will take advantage of domestically is vanishing, either by cost of living adjustments or outsourcing. Wage arbitrage is actually going to be used by your employer so they can pay a South American $9 an hour instead of paying you $20. Find the flaw. Bad bosses are even worse because you don't have office context clues and you're always online. Amazon will be releasing same-hour direct-to-door smart home delivery systems for any good. It's what the drones testing was for. This will entice people back into cities so they can have programmable smart homes and they never have to grocery shop again. The flaw is they take the job away and then you're stuck in a crap hole. The flaw is that city businesses suffer, you owe them your money, and managers have no one to lord over, so you're going back to the office goyim. Be me. Comfy 6-fig work from home. Recruiter on LinkedIn message me. On-site role. Laugh.jpg. March 2024, 1 day at the office per week. March 2025, 2 days at the office per week. F. Ideally, you get a well-paying remote job. Then you start at Chainlink at the same time, doing nothing. When someone asks, you tell them you are working on security or whatever. I'm still remote in an industry that demands its employees to be onshore. We have a lot of Indians, the problem is they are dumb as hell. Can't do shite by themselves. Produce very low quality work, although in very high speeds. Need good people to check/fix their shite. For now I think I will remain remote for a good while longer. The problem with outsourcing is that the quality just isn't as good as US blood in general. The flaw is that Jimbo doesn't like them young whippersnappers getting paid to type away on their GameCubes and wear PJs while he has to go into his job as a congressman. Additionally, it doesn't please Bradley Wellington that he can't micromanage you through your webcam. City lefties swarm your small town. Found the flaw. Nothing that benefits workers will be allowed to exist. Additionally, revitalizing small town is at the expense of big city. Who do you think owns big city? The only future for remote work was to outsource and replace you with cheap labor. Barring that, it will not be allowed to exist. Working for home functions in a fraction of jobs overall. Find the flaw. What this guy wrote. Unless you're already married and your wife can relocate to the same small town, you're never going to meet and marry anyone. Maybe you can hit on the local high school girls if you're young enough, but other than them, every young person moves to the cities for college and work. I did this, in eastern Poland. My job is in a big city in western Poland, but after a few months I said F it, I'm not quitting, I'm moving east, no more coming to the office for me. It's comfy and economically I mog everybody in this city. My company cancelled all offshoring plans because of how heckin' regarded Jeets are. Instead of hiring burgers, why not hire Ranjit at 1/10 of the wage? Pink snapper drought. Entire cities only exists because women are genetically coded to be drawn to the cool thing, aka the city, and men chase them.